What's up, guys? Tony Cutz here with another YouTube tutorial. Today we're doing a number 2 guard up top with a tapered side and tapered back. So I'm calling this a tapered wave cut. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me, please. We got a lot more good content coming, but let's dive right into this one here. So today, like I said, we're doing a 2 guard up top, a wave cut. First things first, I always tell people to figure out the growth pattern of the waves. Figure out what direction you're going with your clipper, and then start to cut. With any wave cut, I normally tend to use my enhancements. I think the purple guards cut the best with waves. I feel like it just leaves you with a smoother cut. But I'm starting at the back of the crown. Like I said, I already distinguished where the hair is growing, what direction, and I'm just going in that direction, making everything nice and smooth and even. I'm very careful at the crown in the back because his calic goes in a lot of different directions, so you can't just assume that from the back of his head everything goes straight forward and everything from that back point everything back goes straight down. You have to brush out the hair and really distinguish what direction the hair is growing. You don't know if he might have 2 calics under all that hair that's grown out, but this cut specifically, and this client, his hair wasn't too grown out, and I already know the growth patterns of his hair. So this is a little easier for me, but everyone's different, and you're going to run into different growth patterns with every client. So I'm just brushing everything down, taking it down with the 2. I'm going to come back and lay everything down with the 2 guard again, so I'm more so just debulking everything, making sure everything's nice and smooth. And as you can see right here, you can see I'm kind of angling my clipper in a different, I'm kind of riding the wave, literally riding the wave around his head. I'm not, as you can see, I wasn't going straight down into the fade because his hair in the back doesn't grow straight down. It grows in kind of like a swirl going towards his temple, and right behind that ear he's got a light spot. So when I'm taking the hair down with the 2, I'm not running over that spot as much. I'm just running over it to take the ends off and lay it down. So now I'm going in with my Babyliss trimmers and I'm setting in my skin line. And when I set my skin line in, I set it in with a little bit of an arc up at the top so that the side lines come out sharper when I shape them up. I want to leave more room to line up than back lines. And also, when I'm setting in my skin line, I don't just set my skin line in on the back and then start my fade. I set the skin line in on the back and both the sides. That's gonna save me time because now I can put my trimmers down and I don't have to pull them back out until I start shaping up. So now I'm on this is the side that I ended with the trimmers. So I'm putting them down, picking up my clipper, and I'm starting the fade on that side. The same side that I ended, that's where I'm starting. I'm not gonna spin the chair and go back to the back. I'm just gonna start on the side that I was at. So now I've set my next guideline in with my enhancements open, and as you see, I already had the 2 guard in my hand. So since I already had the 2 guard in my hand, I'm just gonna keep the 2 guard in my hand and do the same steps on the sides and the back. I go right, as you can see here, I'm going right to the back now that I've set my half guard, which to me is my master's open. I've set my first guideline in on the side, and now I'm doing it the same thing on the back. And as soon as I'm done setting that guideline in, I'm going to debulk that top line. As you can see back here, Me setting in that one guideline with the Andis Masters open left me with 2 lines, one on the top and one on the bottom. I'm attacking the top line now with my 2 guard going against the grain. I'm making sure to have a consistent flick going all the way from one side of the fade to the other. You want your fades to be even from one side to the other. I'm going back and laying the hair down, making sure everything from the top going into the fade is a 2 with the grain. And I'm really just debulking. I'm debulking the back now. Already debulked the other side, the one side. And I already debulked the beard and started the beard fade on that side. So I'm moving pretty fast through this fade, and as you can see, I haven't had to turn around and pick up a guard. I haven't had to turn around and put a guard down. I've used the guard that I've had in my hand. I started the cut with the 2. The only time I had to put the guard down was to set my skin lines, and then now I've had it in my hand since. I did the one side, I did the back. I'm doing the same thing for this side. I don't fade one side at a time. Some barbers do. I don't do that. If I'm taking the top down with a 2, I'm taking it all down, making sure it's all nice and even, then I'm going to my next step. Now, I'm just debulking still, laying all the hair down, and just working, just making sure everything's set to be faded correctly. Like I said, this is a 2 to skin fade. This is one of the easiest fades in my opinion. The only thing that gets easier is maybe a 1, but I honestly think the 2 is easier than a 1 because you're left with a little bit more darkness and you can really see the transition. When you can't see more of a transition, I feel like it can get a little harder. So that's why I believe this is the easiest cut. Like I said, once I set my skin guideline, and then once I set my Andis Masters open, it's only 2 lines you have to fade out, and you have a complete fade. Right here on the beard, you see, I just kind of faded out that line into the skin, and I'm just grazing down through the beard to cut off ends. He doesn't want a lot of length off of his beard. He doesn't really cut his beard too much. We really just shape it. His beard, it doesn't really grow long. It just, the length it's at now is kind of like the shape it's just took on. And I don't believe it's really going to get much longer. So we just kind of keep it clean and tamed and shaped. So right here, now I'm working my fade on this temple because this is the side I ended. So I'm working that bottom line into the skin, and now I believe I've put my 2 guard down, and I now have the 1 guard in my hand. Now you'll see, you're not going to see me take this 1 guard and put it down to grab my 0 guard and really clean up the fade yet. I'm going to go and use the 1 everywhere that I can use the 1. I needed the 1 guard to fade that next line into the beard, so I used that 1 guard. It was in my hand already, so that's what I used. As you can see here, I got the fade set. Fade's pretty good on the side, taper, and the beard. I'm taking the mustache down with the 1 now because that's what he takes his mustache down with. It's a good length, and I had it in my hand, so I'm using it. Now I'm working my way around the back, and here I really want you guys to just focus on this part of the fade because it's the widest section. His hair isn't growing perfectly straight down into the fade. It's got an angle going towards his left ear. So I'm not really flicking my clippers straight up and down the entire time. Sometimes I'm flicking it over towards the right into the direction the hair is growing. If I wanted to lay the hair, I'm going in the direction the hair is growing. But since I'm fading it, and I'm flicking against the direction it's growing. I'm gonna zoom in here so you can really see the growth pattern of his hair back there and see why it's a little difficult with certain hair. Not everybody has perfect growth patterns where the hair just lays perfectly. His hair fades perfectly when you learn his growth pattern. So right here, I'm just working my one guard through that fade in the back, and you're gonna see me in a second start attacking the bottom line. I don't believe it's right or wrong in a fade with a fade like this to attack the bottom line first or that mid line with the one guard first. I believe it's really preference with that. I just like to attack that top line first, going into the two with my one guard first, because now everything above is clear. Once your sides are clear and there's no bulk, and you can really see the fade. So that's why I'm a true believer in starting with the top, working the sides, smoothing them out, and making sure you can clearly see what you're fading next into the skin. Because the hair going into the skin, in my opinion, is the most important part of the fade. It's that gives you that blurry effect, that the hair is almost like a gradient from one color blending into another color flawlessly with no lines. So you'll see in future tutorials why I do that. But here, like I said, normal, taking my one guard, flicking that into the two section, just really creating that fade and getting that top line out with my one guard. Now, if this was a 3 up top or a 4, it would be harder. It would be a couple more steps, a couple more clips used, but we'll get into that in a different video. Here, I'm now starting my shape up in the back with my Andis T outliners. I'm using the corded T outliners. I've been using them along with my Andis corded masters rather than the cordless because they come with more power, in my opinion. And I've been doing a lot of these cuts in my studio, so I've been at the shop, I've had an outlet there. Not every house call is going to have an outlet right there for you to use, so that's why I don't always use them. Sometimes you'll see me with the cordless. But right now, I just set my back line in with this trimmer. Be sure to always take this section down a little bit before you start the shape up. You want to make sure there's no loose hairs, and you want to make sure the hair is laying down best as possible before lining up any line. You don't want any line to be too bulky before shaping it up. If this was a 3 or longer up top, you might not have the option really to shape that line up with a clean, debulked line. Certain hair textures and certain hairstyles you can't really take around the ear down too much, but for this, you can clean that up significantly. Right here, you'll see I'm taking my trimmers, I'm going back, even after I set the line in, and I'm taking flyaway hairs and then re-tapping that line in around the ear, really cleaning it up to emphasize that line going around the ear into the fade. You always want to emphasize your lines. The lines, your entire shape up is going to bring the entire fade together. Once you set your shape up lines in, you'll see if you have any imperfections, any lines within your fade, within the gradient. You'll see once you set them 2 lines on both sides. So now just working the shape up around the ear, going down the side of that jaw line, making sure that that's all natural. You definitely don't want to push the line back on the jaw line. I keep natural, the line on the sides of the jawline natural. As you can see, I already shaped the other side up, and this side is very, honestly, very easy and very quick, so I didn't shoot that. But as you can see, both lines are nice angle, nice slope going towards the back of the neck, not pushed back. Now I'm working the C cup. His C cups are not too detailed. They're not very long because it's a little bit higher of a taper. He doesn't have much of a C cup. If he had any less, I would probably just give him a high taper. But because he has a little bit of that C cup, I keep it and I use that line to really emphasize the fade. He's never really said he wanted a high taper, so maybe in the future we'll try a high taper with his cut. But now I'm working on the front hairline, and I'm working on that first middle point of the hairline. I've already took a step back and envisioned my hairline going right across from corner to corner. I'm starting this middle point though, so that I know where my corners are going to. It's easiest to start this middle point because you can start it the most natural. You definitely don't want to create a horseshoe type of hairline if not needed. Typically you would only need to do that with someone who has receding corners. But this client obviously has no receding corners. You can make a perfect hairline right across the front. So now I'm setting in my corner. I always set the corner line with the front hairline first before I do my vertical bar. So now that I've distinguished where the corner is going to be, I'm working in the vertical bar, and I tend to use the eyebrows as reference here. When it becomes a little harder to see that corner, I really use the eyebrows, because you don't want to go in deep. Like I said, I really shape up naturally, very naturally. I work my lines in slowly so that I know I'm not pushing anyone back and I'm creating the best line, the best shape for his head. You also don't want to be tapping these lines too much with especially a clipper like the Andis T outliners. These clippers with the cord tend to get hot sometimes, so I normally have two of them in case one gets hot. I can put it down and use the other. So right there, I'm just using the corner to really tighten up that fade. There's not much to do. He doesn't have the thickest coarse hair. His hair is a little bit spacey, but still thick and extremely dark. So in my opinion, this is really like my favorite type of hair to fade. It's really easy. It comes out quick. It fades quick. Some people, they have thicker hair, like the hair itself, the follicle is thicker. Sometimes that type of hair could be harder to fade. But right now, you see me just doing some beard work, and I'm going to get more into the beard work in another video with sculpting the beard, setting in these beard lines underneath the neck. When you have a beard that comes out that far with that much length, I'm really going to get into how you shape it properly. His beard kind of just holds that shape, and I just have to take away the flyaways. I don't believe it's really going to grow much longer than that. I believe the density and thickness the beard has at that length is very, very good, and that's where it is. So now you see me working the other C cup, better angle, a little bit better of a shot. I started that first line, and then I worked my way down and back up into that line. Like I said, his C cups aren't very long. There's not much to them, so it's a very small part to shape up. I don't want to push anything back there, because if I push anything back, I'm automatically going to have to go right into a high taper, because he doesn't have much of the C cup there. But as you can see from this angle, the hairline is going straight across the forehead. It's not got that corner I've already shaped up. It's not cut in going towards the back of his head. It's kept straight. if it was a horseshoe hairline and his hair was receding towards the back of the head, you would see that line gradually going towards the back of his head. And at the angle that the camera is held right now, it would look terrible. So just please keep your lines natural, take your time with your shape ups, and make points throughout the line to reference so that you know where you're going. So now I'm starting this other corner, and as you can see, I already know where I'm going. I went to my middle point, I shaped a little bit up going into the next point, but then I went right to the corner and I connected it. Put the dots in and connect the dots. Take your time. Don't press too hard on the skin. Be very gentle and be mindful of the temperature of your blade. Make sure your trimmers are not getting too hot. Right here you see I was just shaping the vertical bar on this side. On this side, his vertical bar is a little angled, so I'm very, very particular with how I shape up his vertical bar on this side because I really don't want to push it back at all. Just now I've pulled out my cordless T-outliners because honestly the black cordless T-outliners cut very crisp. So a lot of the times I'll use them to get flyaway hairs that I didn't want to keep pressing on with my corded T-outliners because like I said, they get hot. Right there you see I'm razoring the side vertical bar and I grazed over it with my razor. You see me do that a lot with all my shape ups. When I see flyaways, I'll take my blade and just graze over the flyaway to get them off. Rather than put my blade down, pick up my trimmer, and cut the flyaways with my trimmer, I just use the blade differently. Now I'm using the razor to clean up around the ear, but you see that's a very quick step. It's a quick step because I never push that line back around the ear. You never want to have a lot of grow back around the ear. So now, as always, I have the tool in my hand. I'm using the tool everywhere I need it. I shaped up the beard. I used it to clean flyaways, and I used it to shape the hairline up. Everything I needed the razor for, I used it when I needed. I never had to put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, just like anything. So here's the finished product. Just tapping this line up, couple flyaways I missed, really tightening up this line. As you can see, he has light spots in his hairline. If I were to use enhancements, the line I've created here would be 1,000 times darker, more distinguished, you could see it better, but that's not the look he's going for. He's looking to keep his hairline where it's at. He wants longevity in his hairline. So that's the look he's going for. Not everyone is going for the quick fix, the hair dye, the temporary solution, I should say. He just wants his shape up natural and sharp. And I'm not saying I'm against enhancements at all. I do use them. Just this specific client doesn't like enhancements in his hair. So that wraps it up. Please subscribe. Look out for more content coming soon. I'm going to dive very deep into this barber game, starting from these simple videos, just how to shape up, how to fade, what clippers to use, all the way to how to open up your shop, how to structure your business, how to brand yourself, and even how to market yourself when you do start your brand. Stay tuned, press that subscribe button, hit the notification button, join the fam, and I look forward to talking to you in another video. Peace.